Welcome to this explainer. Okay, we are going to jump right into this today because we're breaking down what is essentially the ultimate biological hack for effortless productivity and creativity. We're talking about a state of mind that honestly feels like pure magic, but as you'll see, it's actually deeply rooted in hard neuroscience.
So think about it for a second. Have you ever been so completely dialed into a task that hours literally just felt like minutes? Well, back in the fall of 1959, a group of MIT students experienced exactly this. Now, these weren't your typical sit-in-the-front-row kind of students. They were some of the very first computer hackers. They'd sneak into the labs at night to use this multi-million-dollar machine, and they'd get so profoundly locked into solving complex code that they would completely forget to eat, forget to sleep, and totally miss that the sun was coming up. They had stumbled into the ultimate mental zone.
A lot of the time, we are constantly battling what I call the grind. You know the feeling, right? It's that painful friction of everyday distraction, where just starting a task feels impossible and time absolutely drags. But on the flip side of that, we have the flow. This is a totally altered state where your actions and your awareness perfectly merge. There's no procrastination, there's only effortless action, absolute hyperfocus, and vanishing time.
So here's our roadmap for today. We're going to cover the magic of flow, what your brain looks like on flow, the 5 core conditions to get there, your daily routine, and finally, the power of recovery.
All right, let's kick things off with part 1, the magic of flow. So what are we really talking about here? Well, the flow state is literally an altered state of consciousness. This concept was extensively documented by a psychologist named Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi. And amazingly, he first experienced a version of this as a child in a World War II prison camp. He realized that playing chess made the terrifying world around him simply disappear. Later on, after interviewing over 1,750 people, he discovered this phenomenon was exactly the same across elite surgeons, chess players, composers, and rock climbers. The state is universal.
Peak performance researcher Steven Kotler describes flow as relying on effortless effort. You literally feel propelled through whatever you're doing, and it physically changes how you experience the world. Your intuition dials up so high that a basketball player in the zone might literally see the hoop looking as big as a hula hoop. Plus, researchers found that our frown muscles actually become paralyzed during flow. Frowning usually means the brain is struggling, but in flow, that struggle just completely vanishes.
Moving on to part 2, your brain on flow. Okay, but what is actually going on inside your head to make this happen? Well, when you hit flow, your brain releases this massive neurochemical dump. You're getting hit with a potent 5-part chemical cocktail. It starts with norepinephrine and dopamine, which dramatically tighten your focus and boost your pattern recognition. Then comes anandamide, which promotes lateral thinking, helping you link wildly different ideas together. And finally, serotonin and endorphins flood your system. These are 5 of the most potent, performance-enhancing, feel-good chemicals the human body can naturally produce.
And the results of this chemical cocktail? Oh, your learning potential goes completely through the roof. We're talking a 230% increase. Studies conducted by DARPA and Advanced Brain Monitoring actually found that military snipers learned to shoot 230% faster when they were in an artificially induced flow state. To put that into perspective, Malcolm Gladwell's famous 10,000 hours to mastery rule, flow can literally cut that time in half.
But wait, it gets crazier. The impact on your creativity is just as staggering, exploding by up to 500 to 700%. This happens because your brain undergoes a process called transient hypofrontality. Now, that's just a very fancy scientific way of saying that your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for your inner critic, your self-doubt, and all that overthinking, temporarily shuts completely down.
Because these neurochemicals are so incredibly powerful at locking in memories, flow has an entirely different application too: healing. The U.S. Army actually prescribes surfing, which is hugely flow-inducing alongside therapy to treat PTSD. The flow state literally overrides the traumatic memories. Experts even point out that jumping into a deep flow state, like, say, going skydiving, can literally override the obsessive looping grief of a heartbreak.
All right, part 3, the 5 core conditions. So how do we reliably get there without having to jump out of an airplane? It starts with the golden rule of flow, the challenge-skill balance. If a task is too easy, you're bored. If it's too hard, you're anxious. The activity has to stretch your skills just enough without completely snapping them. Think of the video game Tetris. The reason it's so incredibly mesmerizing is that as you get better at the game, the blocks fall faster, perfectly keeping you in that sweet spot of challenge.
Beyond finding that sweet spot, there are 5 universal conditions you absolutely must meet. Number 1, a crystal clear goal. You need to know the exact sentence you're writing or the exact problem you're solving. 2, that sweet spot challenge we just talked about, sitting right around a 7 out of 10 in difficulty. 3, 0 distractions. Seriously, if your phone buzzes and knocks you out of flow, it can take up to 25 minutes just to recover your focus. 4, an activation environment that signals to your brain it's time to work. And 5, intrinsic motivation. You have to do it because you genuinely care about the outcome, not just because someone told you to.
Which brings us to part 4, your daily flow routine. Knowing the conditions is great, but you need a daily routine to actually get there. Best-selling author Stephen King notes that doing things the exact same way every day tells the mind you are, quote, dreaming soon. Every single morning, he sits in the exact same chair, drinks his tea, and listens to his music. In neuroscience, this is known as contextual signaling. By repeating these physical cues, King practically commands his brain to drop all resistance and enter a state of flow.
So let's build your own daily work session. First, use a transition activity, like reading or a quick workout, to shift your brain out of its resting state. Second, grab a quick dopamine win. Cross off a tiny task just to create some momentum. Third, block out 90 to 120 minutes of deep, uninterrupted work. And finally, here's a brilliant pro trick. Stop working while you are slightly ahead. Leave a sentence unfinished or a problem half solved. It creates an open loop, which makes it incredibly easy to pick up that momentum right away tomorrow.
And finally, part 5, the power of recovery.
Now, here is the twist ending that most high achievers completely ignore. Recovery is not the enemy of flow, it is the fuel for it. You just can't sprint forever. Your brain is physically dumping massive amounts of neurochemicals, like dopamine and endorphins. If you don't give your biological system the time it needs to replenish those chemicals, you won't just stall out, you will completely crash.
To actually recharge that attention battery, you need high-quality sleep, physical movement to flush out the stress, and you absolutely have to disconnect from your screens. But maybe the most surprising recovery method is embracing pure boredom. Quiet moments where absolutely nothing is happening are vital. I mean, think about it. This is exactly why your best, most creative, lateral thinking ideas always seem to hit you when you're just staring at the wall in the shower.
Which brings us to our final question for today. Flow is not some mystical magic reserved only for geniuses, Olympic athletes, or MIT hackers. It's a systematic biological switch, and you now have the exact formula to flip it. So look at your calendar, protect your environment, and ask yourself, what impossible challenge are you going to conquer in your next 90 minutes of flow?
This video was made using Notebook LM, pulling from top insights like TED and Stephen Kotler. Check out the full source list in the description below. If you're an educator, try bringing these protocols into your classroom to unlock your students' peak focus. Thanks for watching, and keep engineering your flow.